Ukrainian intelligence confirmed the presence of Russian soldiers infiltrated in a dense forested area. Faced with the threat, Ukrainian infantry units were rapidly deployed to contain the enemy advance. None of the forces involved imagined that the next few minutes would define the course of that confrontation. As the troops moved deeper into the forest, Ukrainian infantry opened suppressive fire, while Russian soldiers returned fire. Visibility was almost non-existent, and the enemy could not be seen. The Russian forces wanted that position at any cost and maintained aggressive pressure, resulting in several Ukrainian soldiers being hit. As the battle dragged on and Ukrainian casualties continued to rise, reinforcements became indispensable. A Ukrainian infantry soldier was advancing toward the defensive line aboard a light tactical vehicle. Suddenly, the advance was halted. With some luck, the drone was shot down. The presence of the drone indicated an immediate danger. There was a real possibility that Russian soldiers were positioned elsewhere. Facing the imminent risk, the decision was made quickly. A Ukrainian drone was launched into the air to reconnoiter the area. What it was about to reveal would completely change the situation in that sector. Armored vehicles advanced toward Ukrainian positions, supported by infantry. The drone was able to pinpoint the axis of advance with precision, and the operator relayed the coordinates to the artillery. The first round tore through the sky. Then, several more followed. With each explosion, fire adjustments were made with increasing accuracy. The advance was halted, and one by one the armored vehicles were struck. There was no possibility of moving forward or retreating. The infantry then made the only decision left, seeking cover in the forest. The vehicles were abandoned, rendered useless for any further support of the Russian advance. A Ukrainian commander, faced with the arrival of new Russian reinforcements, made the decision to further disrupt the Russian advance. He activated the mortar teams, and a new thunderous blast shattered the silence of the forest. Russian positions were struck as rounds began to fall in rapid succession. Russian soldiers, who had barely had time to take cover from the artillery attack, now had to shield themselves once again from the mortars and were forced to reposition yet again. However, under the violence of the explosions, the Russian units had only one option left: a full withdrawal. And then, a new silence settled over the forest. With the withdrawal of Russian forces, Ukrainian soldiers decided to advance, believing that the enemy troops had been eliminated or wounded. But this was not the reality. Russian soldiers who had survived pulled back from their positions and took shelter wherever they could amid the chaos. Each location was carefully inspected by the Ukrainians. And as expected, a Russian soldier was found. Alone and without any chance of support, he chose to surrender. However, only one soldier was located, leaving a lingering question. Where was the rest of the Russian force? All Ukrainian soldiers in the area remained on maximum alert. Every step carried risk. Suddenly, Russian artillery launched a fierce attack against Ukrainian troops. Soldiers scrambled for cover wherever they could find it. Then, recognizing the pause in artillery fire and the likelihood of a Russian offensive, Ukrainian reinforcements were sent to the front line. To assist visibility in the forest, which was nearly non-existent, drones were deployed to relay real-time information from the ground to the infantry. Once again, the battle intensified. The sound of crossfire did not cease. With the help of the drone, enemy positions were identified. This allowed ground teams to capture several Russian soldiers and neutralize others who refused to surrender. Russian soldiers, seeing no other way out, were forced to retreat, desperately seeking refuge in abandoned structures. The battle was far from over, because for the Ukrainian soldiers, the moment capable of completely changing the course of the fight was about to happen. Every step taken by the Ukrainian infantry was made with maximum caution, as danger could be lurking in any hole ahead, an entrenched enemy waiting for a moment of hesitation.
Сколько вас? Сдаюсь.
Вилазь!
Сейчас.
Вилазь! Дай гранату! Вилазь! Я говорю, вилазь, ты ему не поможешь. Давай, вылазь за ним. Не переживай.
The entire perimeter was swept, and only silence dominated the area. The Ukrainian infantry continued advancing, and each sector was thoroughly cleared. Russian soldiers sought shelter in abandoned structures and basements because, in modern warfare, these locations offer the minimum protection necessary to survive. Basements reduce exposure to reconnaissance and attack drones, make detection by thermal sensors more difficult, and provide some protection against artillery fragments and nearby explosions. Additionally, in war-devastated areas, many units advance without the time or resources to build proper fortified positions, forcing them to occupy destroyed buildings, abandoned factories, and improvised shelters as the only viable alternative to protect themselves from enemy fire. Russian soldiers were located inside a basement, and Ukrainian troops ordered them to surrender.
Парни, смотрите, есть два варианта. Либо мы вас убиваем, либо вы сдаетесь. 5 секунд!
Faced with the possibility of capture, the Russians appeared willing to surrender, but suddenly threw a grenade toward the Ukrainian soldiers. That confrontation then reached its conclusion. A Ukrainian soldier, reacting immediately, threw a grenade back into the basement.
Я стреляю. Зашла. Я быстрее.
New Russian soldiers were identified hiding inside another abandoned structure. Unwilling to surrender at any cost and anticipating a possible attack, a grenade was thrown into the location. After the explosion, the Ukrainians confirmed that one Russian soldier had been neutralized. Just when the battle seemed to be coming to an end, a sound was heard in the air. A Russian FPV drone was moving toward the Ukrainian soldiers. The attack was imminent. However, before the drone could reach its target, a Ukrainian soldier, with extreme precision, opened fire.
Я FPV як прийняв.
It became clear that the drone was not there by chance. There were still enemy soldiers in the area. The Ukrainians advanced for one final check of the basement. Inside, they found only the body of a Russian soldier, already lifeless. They continued searching and found a second Russian soldier. Suddenly, gunfire. Then, when a Ukrainian soldier spotted a gap between the bricks, he threw a grenade. The resulting explosion shook the structure. The blast brought what had been expected, silence. A second grenade was thrown, further damaging the building and confirming the outcome. There were no Russian soldiers alive inside. The mission was successfully completed. The perimeter was fully cleared and secured, and control of the area remained in the hands of Ukrainian forces. Leave a like and watch the recommended video.